Okay, so this is one of my last two videos for the night, and if you want an adventure or you want to learn something on how I feel, this video is for you. If you are under 15, this video is not for you because I'm gonna hold nothing back, and I'm probably gonna swear a lot. Um, this video I'm gonna touch on some supernatural stuff, not the TV show, even though it is one of my favorite TV shows, just like Agents of Shield. This is closer to more real life than supernatural, because in the world in which we live, truth is stranger than fiction. Try to remember that as I move on through this. So, a lot of people don't understand how the world works. A lot of people aren't special and don't have that many paranormal experiences. You're called skeptics, all right? Because you're one of those people who don't believe it until you see it type people. And then even still, you're not sure if you've really seen it, so you still don't believe it. So, when I was younger, I was plagued by the witch rider. It plagued me from the age of 7 to the age of 15, maybe 16. Either way, it plagued me for a very long time. And it was because I didn't really believe in this stuff. But after being a victim of it, you kind of believe in it. Now, I don't have any stories about the dark-eyed children or things like that, but I do often wonder if I have slipped through time holes or time warps or alternate dimensions and things like that. I've been doing a lot of research on this stuff and watching a lot of videos on YouTube, and sometimes I feel like I'm here, but I'm not sure if I'm in the right universe. Now, I know that sounds crazy, and this ain't about getting more followers or more viewers and shit. And it's the same thing with like having deja vu, because sometimes I may have my facts mixed up, and yes, I've had a couple of concussions. Mish Early specifically knows that I had my worst concussion thanks to him, because his head's made out of fucking granite, and he headbutted me back when we were in the 5th grade because Coach Bean made us play football without equipment on. And I probably should have went over there and played kickball with the girls, but I wanted to be one of the guys, and yeah, that shit didn't work out. Nice to meet you again, Mish. Anyway, and thank you for giving me clarity by making me think that I was Christopher Columbus that night. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Sometimes I hear things and I notice things. I'm like, am I the only one seeing this? Or sometimes I feel like my facts are off, but I know that they're right, but they're off for everyone else. For example, was the same thing like with the death of Freddie Mercury and Queen. According to the movie, he died in the 90s. I don't remember that. I swear to God, he died in the 80s. But again, I have had some concussions, so we can chalk that up to that. Or we can chalk it up to maybe I did slip through a time hole, or maybe I seen other possible futures. And no, it's not because I read Batman or the X-Men and stuff like that, which is also where a lot of people get their knowledge from. They read these comics, and these comic writers have imaginations that flow everywhere. One thing my uncle said, and he also smokes weed, that, because it gives them a higher consciousness, or at least that's what they say. I've never done it, so I don't know. But he said that what if, specifically, that Stan Lee was channeling alternate timelines and dimension, and everything that he was talking about was real, just not to us. Kind of like when Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, okay? Because Deadpool is the only character in Marvel who knows for a fact that he's in a comic book. He also basically is immortal. So you get the gist of that. And I was thinking one time Marvel said that. What if he's right? What if some of us actually can slide through the veil every now and again and see ghosts and spirits? And maybe one of the scientists who said time is an active thing, or an active enigma that's never ending, and we are all trapped in this bubble of, you have the past, the future, and the present all working simultaneously, and every now and again cracks in the veil open up, and we see things that we should not see because it's happened for us in our past, but for them it's still happening, and for the future it hasn't reached there. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you understand what I'm saying, because I'm about to end the video. But it's a strange concept of maybe, just maybe, it's all relevant to what these scientists are saying. Now, I will say this. I have many times said this before, and I'll say it again, because my life has been nothing but bad. For most of my life, it's been bad. And I've always said this, and people have always asked me this question. So I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to give you my example, and I'm going to give you my answer on why, and I'm going to end this video. So, someone once asked me, if I had a time machine, would I go back and change things in my life? And my answer was, no. I would go back and eradicate my life. And they were like, why the hell would you do that? So here's my answer. For the most part, I've had more bad times in life than good times. And to the outside people looking in, they're like, oh, your life wasn't that bad. There's people who has it worse. Yes, there are people that has it worse. But I had it pretty bad too. And you can't say how bad my life was because you're not living it. But if I had a time machine, I would probably prevent my father from meeting my mother and make sure that I don't exist. Now, I know that sounds insane and you're like, what? What the hell's wrong with this guy? Let me explain. If I don't exist, I never feel pain. I'm not addicted to sex. I never know the joys of the earth, but I also, most importantly, will never ever feel the sorrows. And whatever I was meant to be, since I'm not that now at 45, there would be no worries. If I was to cure cancer or AIDS, I would have been able to find a decent job. I would have been able to stay in school. I would have been able to deal with blood and be a doctor and all that stuff. But I'm not. I'm not even half as smart as the things that are coming out of my mouth. But in the event, if I would have had like the greatest life ever, or if I could go back in time and make sure that I have the greatest life ever, that would be the only thing that I would do. I would have to find out what event causes that so that I can have the greatest life ever, which 9 times out of 10, everything has a consequence, so you probably don't want to do that. But then again, if you've lived the life I've lived, that might be the first thing on your mind. But see, here's the thing. If the rules of time do apply, not like in the Avengers, but like in Back to the Future or like in Star Trek, you're the only one who remembers that timeline. You come back to the current timeline in which you left, and everything's different except you. Which ain't that bad, but you're still stuck with the old timeline memories, and you'll never be able to forget them unless you get amnesia. And, you know, some of those memories might have been good, and you might want to keep them, so you can't just pinpoint where your memory sensors in the back of your head or in the front of your head is. I say the back of your head because usually when people get amnesia, they get clocked in the back of the head and don't remember who they are. And that's just TV magic. I don't really know how it works because I've never had amnesia. I've only had concussions. But if you had a really horrible life, and you had the opportunity between changing your life for the better, but you can't prove that you can do that, or taking yourself out of the equation in general, which would mean you don't exist, so you won't return back to time, you won't have any worries, you won't have any pain, you won't have any suffering, you won't die from cancer, you won't die from a disease, you won't die from AIDS, you won't be a sex addict, you won't have anything bad that you'll ever have to face in life. You won't have parents that don't love you because you don't exist. You won't have parents that decide that your life doesn't mean anything, but everyone else above and behind you does. So, yeah, I would take myself out of the equation. Because if I don't exist, I can't suffer. And if I can't suffer, I'm free. And a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And as I said before, like 3 minutes ago, before you pass judgment, you have to realize that you have not lived my life. And not every moment in my life has been bad. But when I weigh the pros and cons, I've had more bad things happen to me in my life than good things. So if I don't exist, I don't feel those things. I don't remember those things. I don't hurt from them things. Now, they say if you can go back in time and change your parents, could you do that? Surprisingly enough, no, I love my parents. Why would I prevent them from meeting for me? Because only one of them really ever truly loved me like I'm supposed to be loved. And like I said in the other video, kids know when a parent doesn't really love them. But most people aren't going to admit to you, especially if they're your parents, if they don't love you. It's just not something that they would think about, you know. But actions speak louder than words. And how a person treats you is how you can tell. Which goes back to kids aren't stupid. But anyway, if I took myself out of the equation, the only people that would probably suffer would be my friends. But if they never met me, there's where you have the CF. And in that CF conundrum, if they never met me, they would never miss me. And if they never missed me and they never met me, they would never know the joy or the sorrow that I have brought into their lives. So it kind of works out better if I take myself out of the equation. No PTSD, no psychological problems, no heartbreaks, no getting dissed by every hot chick in existence, and all the bad things that people call experiences would never happen. And I would just pop off into nowhere, which I actually could live with that because I've had such a bad life. So the question is to you, as the question was given to me. If you had a time machine and could change your life by either going back in time to fix everything that went wrong and make it better, or going forward in time to see what becomes of you if you do something or if you don't do something, would you do it? Would you stay alive? Or would you eradicate yourself from the equation so that you never have to suffer a day in your existence because you won't exist? Conundrum plus CF. And for those who aren't mature enough to know what the hell CF means, it means clusterfuck. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in for 11 minutes of your life that you can't get back. I'm James Williams Jr., couple habit number 2, B, C, and U. Think about that question though.